Republican who's gone on TV the last 12 hours or so has called this the Schumer Shutdown. What do you say about that name? Senator Schumer, can you hear me?
I can't hear.
Senator Schumer, can you hear me? I don't think Senator Schumer can hear me right now. Maybe the government shutdown included audio on Capitol Hill.
Another day, another disaster for the Democrats. Chuck Schumer is stirring at the twilight of his long, miserable career as a U.S. Senator, all as he's taking his own party down with him. Now we're going to see how even major legacy media outlets are now calling on the Democrats to stand down. They're saying this is over. The Schumer shutdown has been an abject failure, and the Democrats would be smart to cut their losses and end this thing immediately. They are recognizing that this isn't just another government shutdown. This is the political miscalculation of the freaking century. And the data proves Democrats are hemorrhaging support faster than they can count votes. You're going to absolutely love this. Greetings, everyone. It is Live Stream Friday. I am your host, Dr. Steve, your patron professor, here to help you make sense of the madness as the radical left desperately tries to stop the unstoppable rise of a new conservative age that you're making happen all over the world. So if you want a front row seat on how you're changing the world in ways you never even imagined, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button. You're not going to want to miss a single episode. I'm going to try to get through this live stream Friday here. Your patron professor is a little bit under the weather. Picked up something. We were on a bus tour throughout the Highlands of Scotland, as many of you know, over the last 10 days. But being in closed quarters in those buses with like 40 other people, there was some bug that started going around. So, man, we brought something back with us, my wife and I, and we've been a little bit on our backs ever since. But I'm going to get through it, and I know you're going to help me do that. As always, we've got a jam-packed show for you today. Our super chats are up, so feel free to send in your comments or questions. It'll be my privilege to read them and answer them during this live stream. Also, I do want to give a quick shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that's our good friends over at Chapter Medicare Advising. Now, you, of course, all remember Biden's debate disaster when he blurted out, we finally beat Medicare. Well, it's true, as Trump said, you beat it to death. Medicare touches the lives of millions of Americans, but just like about everything the government touches, it's a mess, and mistakes can cost you thousands. Between confusing rules and penalties and thousands of different plans, it's no wonder so many people are spending more than they need to because they're stuck on the wrong plan. So that's why I want to introduce you to a genuinely helpful company, Chapter. Chapter gives you personalized Medicare advice, and they actually work for you, not for the government, not for big insurance. They search every plan available, even those that other agents skip. And by doing this, they save people an average, get this, $1,100 per year, sometimes more. In fact, Chapter was able to save one couple, Joe and his wife, $3,000 every single year. Chapter's advice is completely free to my audience. No fees, no pressure, just honest help. So if you're already on Medicare or you're about to be, I cannot recommend Chapter enough. Give them a call at 919-727-1903. That's 919-727-1903 to make sure your Medicare works for you. Most people wish they had called them sooner. Again, that's 919-727-1903. All right, so here we are, day 3 of the Schumer shutdown. And there's simply no possible way of spinning this. Every single metric shows this Democrat shutdown is backfiring catastrophically. It's backfiring in the polls. It's backfiring in the freaking memes. I mean, Hakeem Jeffries is now officially Joaquin Jeffries, right? I mean, it's absolutely hilarious, the amount of memes that are out there mocking the Democrats. And the Democrats are absolutely livid over it. This is why the Democrats cannot mean. They can't not mean because you need a sense of humor, and they have a sense of humor deficiency. That's what wokeness does. It's backfiring on social media. The Democrats attempted a 24-hour live stream on YouTube when the shutdown launched. And I kid you not, barely 100 people tuned in to watch it. It was an unmitigated disaster. It's backfiring with the legacy media coverage. The legacy media is beginning to panic over this, most particularly the Washington Post. I'm going to show you that today. But most of all, it's backfiring by handing President Trump unprecedented power to reshape the federal bureaucracy in a permanent MAGA image for generations to come. I mean, you literally cannot make this stuff up. After a year of campaigning against Project 2025, the Democrats literally triggered it into being. The Democrats handed Russell Vought, the architect of Project 2025 and the director of the OMB, the Office of Management Budget, they handed him literally the keys to the kingdom to control virtually the whole of the federal government as the legislative branch has shut down by virtue of this government shutdown. And so now the executive branch, most particularly at the heart of which is the OMB, now they are in charge of pretty much everything. And they can hire and they can fire and they can dismantle and they can eliminate all they want. So there is no way Democrats are coming out of this on top. And the numbers don't lie. They're absolutely devastating for the Democrats in literally every way imaginable. Let's start with the polls. So according to the New York Times polling, 65% of Americans, including nearly half of all Democrats, completely oppose the shutdown strategy by the Democrats. Now, respondents were asked by the Times specifically if they supported or opposed the Democrats' effort at shutting down the government. And 65%, nearly 7 in 10, opposed it. Now, once again, we're looking at yet another example of the Democrats finding themselves on the wrong side of the 80-20 doom loop, right? It doesn't matter what they do or say. They are constantly staking their flags on the most unpopular side of every single political issue out there. They're defending open borders. They're defending now illegal migrants once again. They're defending violent criminals in cities. They're defending DEI. They're defending trans athletes in women's sports. They're defending Nazi rhetoric, fascist rhetoric. And by the way, they have to do that. They have to call Trump a dictator. They have to call us Nazis and fascists because they literally have no positive issues to run on. That's every time you hear them run with the authoritarian dictator meme, it's an admission. It's an admission that they literally have no positive issues to run on. So all they can go with is, Trump is Hitler. And now they're overtly on the side of shutting down the government, which a supermajority of the country opposes, and which Democrats like Chuck Schumer opposed literally just months ago, back in March. Remember, this CR, this clean CR, meaning that there is no pork to it. There's no Republican pork or Democrat pork. It's a clean CR, 27 pages. This is the very CR that Chuck Schumer voted for back in March and made a whole speech justifying why he's voting for it. So he was for it before he was against it. So this flip-flop it's not convincing anybody. And to make matters even worse, congressional Democrats now have only a 26% approval rating among registered voters. That's the lowest in decades. But the shocking part is only 48% of Democrats approve of their party. That's compared to 80% of Republicans approving of their party. When Biden was sworn into office 4 years ago, 80% of Democrats had a positive approval of their party. That number's almost been slashed in half. Among independents, just 19% approve of the Democrats. I mean, this is the political poison that kills a party once they've been caught up in this 80-20 doom loop. And by the way, any and every poll, you're going to hear some of them out there. The legacy media is already, again, nobody watches the legacy media. Nobody listens to the legacy media anymore. But regardless, they are touting some polls out there that shows, oh, the Republicans are getting blamed for this. They're desperate. Okay, again, they're doing anything they possibly can to try to get the Democrats out of this, to give them an off-ramp. But when asked, if they have a poll that says, who do you blame? And it says, well, we blame the Republicans. Almost all those polls actually have a question, do you support the Democrats' effort to add $1.5 trillion of spending to at least fund, in part, illegal migrant health care? All of a sudden, that poll advantage plunges. So this is why the Democrats are doing absolutely everything they possibly can to distance themselves from their own policies. They have focus grouped their policy of giving free taxpayer-funded health care to illegal migrants, and they found it is a disaster even among their own rank and file. But they can't distance themselves from it. I mean, check out how completely Democrats have destroyed their own credibility. During a Fox News interview, you probably saw this, but it is worth sharing again because it's so good. This is Democrat Senator Jeanne Shaheen. She actually made the audacious claim on Fox News that she had never, ever in her entire life heard any one of her fellow Democrats ever even remotely hint at providing illegal migrants access to taxpayer-funded health insurance. And to his credit, Fox News host Lawrence Jones did this in response.
I haven't heard anybody in my party saying that illegal immigrants should get access to the health insurance marketplace.
I'm so glad you said that. Actually, I have some tape of your Democratic Party members saying this on the debate stage. So they've all said it. Let's play the clip.
A lot of you have been talking tonight about these government health care plans that you've proposed in one form or another. This is a show of hands question, and hold them up for a moment so people can see. Raise your hand if your government plan would provide coverage for undocumented immigrants. Okay.
Senator, that's literally every member of your party, from moderate to more progressive, that have said that in the past.
He was so kind to her. He was so kind. Senator, that's literally every member of your party, from moderate to far left. I mean, what are you even trying to say? I mean, he could have just said, let's be blunt here. You know, I just hosted the single most epic gotcha moment in television history. Right? We got a Democrat senator openly claiming that she has never, ever even remotely heard anything comparable to a single one of her Democrat colleagues advocate for taxpayer funds to pay for illegal migrants in healthcare. And what does Lawrence Jones do? He literally shows every single Democrat presidential candidate on stage raising their hands when asked if their healthcare plans would cover undocumented immigrants. I mean, it was literally the single most epic gotcha moment in television history. But the key here is that it wasn't just a gotcha moment. It's a revelation of the systematic deception being exposed in real time. And the Democrats have no idea how to respond when their own deception gets so publicly called out. Here's Pocahontas herself. Again, a woman who advanced her own career on a lie, Elizabeth Warren, having a complete meltdown when a CBS reporter pointed out that Democrats actually do want health care for non-citizens funded by taxpayers. Watch this. See, you have to see this to believe this.
Republicans say what you're really fighting for is taxpayer dollars for, as they put it, illegal aliens. I know that's not strictly true, but there is a provision.
Excuse me, not strictly true.
It's not true directly, but
out lie. It is a flat out lie.
the way that they frame it.
There is nothing in Medicare that permits one undocumented immigrant to get $1 of assistance.
Senator, if you let me finish the question.
Of course,
Senator,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the Democratic counteroffer, the proposal for funding, there is a restoration of Medicaid benefits for certain non-citizens that it had been taken away in the big, beautiful bill, as the Republicans put it. Republicans don't think those people should be getting health care on the taxpayer dime. I'm not asking on the merits. Politically, putting that in there exposes you to this talking point, this lie, as you put it. Why put it in there? Why is it worth it?
No, what's happened is that what we're saying is that whenever hospitals give care, what is going to be the level of reimbursement? And the Republicans said it's going to be a low level. The Democrats said we just want to go back to the level it was before because you're going to bankrupt hospitals. You're going to put rural hospitals out of business. The Republicans and the Democrats plan, nothing changes the number of undocumented immigrants who still get care if they show up bleeding and unconscious at an emergency room. There is absolutely zero difference. The difference is whether or not hospitals, who under laws that date back to Ronald Reagan, may provide emergency care to anyone who's unconscious, will actually get reimbursed at a very low level that will put the hospital ultimately out of business potentially, or at a higher level. The Republicans, there is no change in the number of undocumented immigrants who get any help under what the Democrats want. Look,
Senator,
what we're looking for is help for people who are going to get pushed out of nursing homes, help for people who are at home and relying on home health aides.
Senator, you ain't helping yourself. You're right. You give a Democrat enough rope, they eventually hang themselves. I mean, she literally admits that illegal migrants are getting taxpayer-funded health care. They just have to be bleeding. They just have to be unconscious. She literally openly admits out of one side of her mouth, no tax dollars, no Medicare, no Medicaid whatsoever for illegals. And then out of the other side of her mouth, yeah, well, we do have to reimburse the hospitals to care for all these illegals. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And even that CBS reporter was like, girl, you ain't helping your cause here, Senator, quit while you're behind. Only a Democrat like Pocahontas, again, somebody who literally advanced her legal career by living a lie, could call something a flat out lie while simultaneously confirming it was true. Let's clear this up. Let's examine the specific policies Democrats are willing to shut down the government over, because the details are even worse than the headlines suggest. The $1.5 trillion in additional spending that they want to implement in this CR isn't just about healthcare for illegal migrants, though that would be bad enough. What the Democrats actually want to do in removing that provision in the big, beautiful bill that explicitly forbids a dime of Medicare and Medicaid. And by the way, that's exactly what they are doing. They are relitigating the OBBB. They are relitigating the one big, beautiful bill in this. So they're trying to get rid of a provision that was just passed and signed into law. That's what they're doing. And they're trying to get rid of a provision that prevents illegals from getting a dime from Medicare and Medicaid, right? And what they want to do, the Democrats want to do by getting rid of that provision, is establish a precedent that effectively declares immigration status irrelevant for federal benefit eligibility. That's the key. That's what you have to get. That's what they're trying to deceive you on. While current federal law technically prohibits direct payments to illegal migrants, the Democrat proposal creates state-administered programs funded by federal dollars that operate regardless of one's immigration status. That's what they want. So that's the deliberate workaround designed to achieve the same policy goal that every single one of those Democrat presidential candidates explicitly stated they supported. It enables them to fund illegal migrants with taxpayer dollars while maintaining plausible deniability. So, oh, there's nothing specific in there that says it goes to them. Yeah, but you've removed immigration status as the basis for qualification for taxpayer-funded healthcare. So, as part of that, emergency Medicaid reimbursements would increase from current rates to pre-2020 levels, but the eligibility criteria would expand to include temporary protected status holders, asylum seekers, and other categories of non-citizens. And so hospitals would then be incentivized to provide more comprehensive care, knowing they're going to receive higher reimbursement rates, effectively creating a federal healthcare system for non-citizen funded by American taxpayers. That's what these scum Democrats want. And they're doing everything they possibly can to deceive you about it. And they have the legacy media doing their best to try to do that as well, because that's all the legacy media does in the end, is they just lie. They just shill for the Democrats. Unfortunately for them, it's not working anymore. It ain't the 1990s. It ain't the Obama era. Now, while all those media meltdowns are happening, multiple sources are indeed confirming that something deeper is happening here in all of this. Something much deeper is playing out. This radical far-left policy of funding healthcare regardless of citizenship status that even moderates in the Democrat Party are embracing, it's actually pointing to an internal Democrat civil war that's driving this entire crisis. Multiple Republican sources are confirming that Chuck Schumer is terrified of a primary challenge from AOC in 2028. And in many ways, this explains everything. I mean, it explains why Schumer's basically hiding. By the way, he hasn't given many interviews since that CNN audio disaster. It explains why he refuses to vote for the very same clean CR that he voted for back in March, and not only voted for, but justified his vote for it in a 20-minute speech. It explains why he takes some of the most extreme positions that he argued against just mere years ago. And it explains even why someone like, the walking mummy, Nancy Pelosi, how she looks so visibly uncomfortable when asked about AOC's role in all of this. Take a look at the latest.
Thought from the Republicans that AOC is directing this, and she said that senators are welcome to go to her office directly. Is she driving that?
Why are you saying such a ridiculous thing?
I'm just quoting what AOC said. She said go to her office directly. Do you think there's any credibility to that?
She's not directing this. She's wonderful. She's a real team player and the rest of that. You started by saying Republicans saying that she's directing this. She is not. Hakeem Jeffries is. And this takes a lot of experience, a lot of unity from the caucus in terms of the point of view. And that's what this is. She's an articulate spokesperson for her point of view, Hakeem Jeffries.
Now, if you're wondering about that Band-Aid there, that's where they put the embalming fluid to keep her moving there. Seriously, I can't laugh because if I start laughing, I'm going to start coughing. But I mean, she's so physically and morally degenerate. I mean, obviously, there's no love lost between Pelosi and AOC. We've long known that there's been a civil war brewing between establishment Democrats like Nancy Pelosi and the new cultural Marxist progressives like AOC and Jasmine Crockett and the squad, with establishment Democrats who are all donor controlled, right? They're all in this for as a business model. They see the cultural Marxist progressives as interrupting the gravy train. They see them as a public relations disaster, and they're knocking them out of power. And the more they knock him out of power, as we found out through doging USAID and so forth, the more they get knocked out of power, the more they interrupt this business model of feeding off the cash cow of taxpayer dollars. And they're right on that. They're absolutely right. The progressive left is the most toxic brand imaginable for the Democrats. They're polling disasters in the blue wall states like Pennsylvania, Wisconsin, and Michigan, and the wider swing states of North Carolina, Georgia, Arizona. But that said, I mean, I think Pelosi knows AOC is making her moves to advance up the Democrat ranks. Hence why she's being kind to her and saying such nice things about her. She knows there's nothing she can do about it anymore. She's really more or less been boxed out of power. Pelosi has. She's clearly AOC is clearly positioning herself to take over the party when Schumer and Pelosi's generation inevitably loses their establishment power. But when all is said and done, what we are witnessing here, I think, among the Democrats really is a masterclass on how not to handle a crisis, particularly a crisis of your own making. They are violating literally every basic principle of crisis management. If you study a little bit, I mean, I haven't deep dive, but I know a little bit about crisis management. I mean, the first thing is you have to stay in control of the narrative, and particularly the narrative timeline. And the Democrats have completely lost control. So instead of getting ahead of the story, they're constantly responding to Republicans' framing of their position. So that's why Pocahontas is blowing up on CBS. That's why Joaquin Jeffries is freaking out over memes of him in a sombrero. That's how Democrats are getting caught in their own lies on live TV about advocating for taxpayer funds to illegal migrants' health care. I mean, they lost the narrative timelines. Instead of being active, they're constantly reacting to the Republicans' offensive. And everyone sees it. They look bad doing it. Secondly, they've allowed their spokespeople to give contradictory messages. And you just saw that, a whole litany of it there. So Schumer says one thing, that is if his audio is working. Joaquin says another. AOC claims that she's actually in charge, so come to her office and negotiate with her. Pelosi freaks out over that and says, no, it's Joaquin. Some says there's absolutely no taxpayer funds going to illegal migrants' healthcare. And then others admit, yeah, well, it is kind of happening. And then third, they've made the classic mistake of denying easily verifiable facts, especially like that senator. Oh, I've never once seen or heard a single Democrat ever claim that taxpayer funding should go to illegal migrant healthcare. I mean, it's like, you mean like every single one of your presidential candidates back in 2020? I mean, it just destroys their credibility when the truth inevitably emerges. But what do you expect? I mean, what did any of these Democrats expect? Democrats have been running around, literally opening up our borders and giving taxpayer-funded gifts to tens of millions of illegal migrants for 4 years straight. What did they expect to come out of that? How on earth did they expect that they could exonerate themselves from that? I mean, it's insane. Again, there is a theory of truth known as performative truths. So performative truths are truths that are true simply because they are stated as such. Now, there is legitimate performative truth. So if a priest says, "I now declare you husband and wife," yeah, those words create a truth. You are now husband and wife. It does not reflect a previously existing state of affairs, like me saying it's hot outside, and then you can go and open up a window and confirm or corroborate or deny that, you know. But so there are, you know, or a judge says, "I find the defendant not guilty," and slams the mantle, you know, the gavel. Those are performative truths. Those are legitimate, but they're very ceremonial and they're very limited to those who have the authority to make those performative truths. The Democrats operate with the assumption of performativeness. They literally operate with the assumption that if they say it, you must accept it as true. And if you don't, you're a conspiracy theorist, you're far right, or you're a Nazi, or you're fascist, or whatever. That's the way the legacy media operates. You know, if you saw it with the whole Hunter Biden laptop fiasco. Joe Scarborough spending an hour on the show going, we're going to look back on this. This is October 2020. We're going to look back at how foolish the Republicans were thinking that they could put forward Russian propagandist truth. Ha ha. I mean, or when he was saying that, Joe Scarborough, Biden's cogent. This is the best Biden ever. This is like a week before the debate. Cogent, best Biden ever. See, these are performative truths. Everyone knows they're not true. Everyone knows factually they do not have any correspondence to a previously existing objective state of affairs that we can all verify. But they operate, the Democrats and the legacy media just operate with this performative notion of truth that if they declare it, it is therefore true, and it's not. And so they just end up looking so stupid. And now even the Washington Post, which in many respects has become the conscience of the Democrats and the American left over the last 60 years, they are coming out and they are telling their fellow libs, guys, sorry, it's time to cut bait. This Schumer shutdown is an unmitigated disaster. And you need to quit while you're behind. Wait until you guys see this. This is absolutely an astonishing admission. But first, if you are just joining us, our super chats are up, so feel free to send in your comments and questions. I'll be happy to answer them on our live stream here. Also, as you know, this channel is all about empowering conservatives, both young and old, to take control of our futures, both politically and financially. And there's simply no better way for to see the finances flourish than with investing in crypto like Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the like. Now, you guys know I'm a big crypto fan, but you probably also know, I've shared with you many times, I don't really care for the volatility. If the volatility intimidates you, don't worry, it intimidates me, right? The extreme highs are great, but what about the equally extreme lows? They ain't so great. Well, guess what? Your experience of that volatility is now officially a thing of the past. Meet Block Trust IRA. They have a super AI system that Bitcoin Magazine has named the #1 crypto technology platform in the world. That's among 1,500 global competitors. And what that super AI does is it works 24/7 to analyze global market data and predicts with uncanny accuracy the highs and the lows of crypto volatility. So Block Trust IRA will then sell at the highs and then buy again at the lows, which mitigates the volatility. All the while, you stand to make absolutely incredible gains. That's why I'm a proud client of Block Trust IRA. I love them. I have my own account with them, and I think they're going to absolutely blow you away. Their mission perfectly aligns with President Trump's Make America Great Again agenda that's smashing down the barriers between loyal patriots and the financial freedom that you deserve, helping true Americans build impressive wealth in Trump's historic economic boom. So, gang, it doesn't matter if you've never been in crypto before. I wasn't for a long time. I'm relatively new to it. It doesn't matter if you're a teacher. Doesn't matter if you're a retiree. I mean, this is your chance to get into the crypto market, but with AI mitigating your volatility risk. So what are you waiting for? Click on that link below or visit turleytalkscrypto.com and find out how they can help you join the Trump financial revolution that's finally giving forgotten Americans access to the greatest crypto wealth opportunity in history. The best part, gang, they're offering my viewers for limited time up to $2,500 off in bonus crypto when you open up an account with them. It's absolutely amazing. So don't wait on this. Crypto created 80,000 new millionaires last year. Why not you next? Visit turleytalkscrypto.com. That's turleytalkscrypto.com. All right. The Washington Post editorial board did something absolutely unprecedented the other day. They delivered a scathing assessment of the Democrat Party's shutdown strategy. This alone shows you how different this government shutdown is from all previous others. I cannot think of another time the Washington Post came out against the Democrats during a shutdown. They are warning that this is a disaster that the Democrats are not going to be able to reverse. Basically, the editorial board, and again, remember, this is the Washington Post. They're all progressives on that editorial board. They're claiming that the progressive wing of the Democrat Party has led their party directly into what they're calling a shutdown trap set by Donald Trump. Now, that's exactly what the editorial is entitled. Democrats marched into a shutdown trap. And the indictment, it's probably, it is an indictment. The editorial board, but maybe the indicting board, again, all made up of leftists, nevertheless argued that the far left of the Democrat Party has embraced a disastrous mentality in thinking that they could come out ahead in government funding standoffs. And they pointed out that historically, the side that makes the demands is almost always the one that comes out on the losing side. The majority of the public does not believe that whatever those demands are is enough to justify shutting down the government, most especially funding illegal migrant health care. And so the Post editorial board specifically criticized Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer for abandoning a potential compromise under pressure from progressives, effectively eliminating any exit strategy to prevent the shutdown. And so they warned that the Democrats have wrongly assumed that their political leverage would withstand the ensuing fallout. But that's a miscalculation that's historically proven catastrophic for previous attempts at shutting down the government, which were mostly instigated by Republicans in the past. And so as a result, having lost whatever little political capital they had, the Post's editorial board revealed the strategic disadvantage Democrats now face. They are admitting that President Donald Trump and his budget director, chief architect of Project 2025 himself, Russell Vought, now have extraordinary power and authority to choose which agencies to close, what spending to prioritize, and even which government workers to lay off. I mean, this all represents an absolutely unprecedented transfer of power that Democrats have inadvertently facilitated. Now, perhaps most damaging was the Post's prediction about the inevitable outcome from all of this. Quote, "There is no reason to think this shutdown will end any differently for its left-wing counterpart. The most likely outcome is that Democrats will come to regret having just walked into this trap." Now, the editorial board noted that even if Republicans eventually compromise on the Democrats' healthcare demands, they're like, the chances are pretty slim that the two parties could come to terms that Democrat activists would view as a decisive victory. Instead, the Post concluded that progressives have given Trump exactly what he wanted: a crisis situation that allows him to reshape the federal government in ways that would have been impossible under normal circumstances, making this shutdown fundamentally different from all previous government funding battles. That's the absolute key. And again, I really credit the editorial board over at the Post for getting this right, because again, we've been arguing this since I got back from Scotland on October 1st. Since Wednesday, we've been arguing this. The Democrats are holding out for what they want, but in holding out for what they want, they are giving Trump what he wants. That's the disproportionate calculus that's happening here, that no other shutdown has happened. So, like in a Gingrich and Clinton shutdown, or an Obama and Boehner shutdown, whatever, those shutdowns, they were both holding out for what they wanted. Both sides were trying to position to get what they wanted from the shutdown. This is a total lopsided shutdown. You got to get this. This is why the Republicans are all just sitting back, laughing, posting memes for Joaquin with his maracas. I mean, this is why Trump is just having a blast there and playing the Joaquin meme, looping it in the press briefing room on all their monitors. I mean, this is why they're all on Fox News, high-fiving each other. I mean, they're just the reason why this is not like any other shutdown is because while the Democrats are trying to get what they want, in the process, they have given Trump what he wants. While the Democrats are trying desperately to try to get what they want, they have already given Trump what he wants. That's the disproportionate metrics that's going on here as we speak. While Democrats are playing checkers, Trump is playing 4D chess. House Speaker Mike Johnson said it himself. I mean, he was very explicit about the genius of Trump's approach here. He said Chuck Schumer has just handed the keys to the kingdom to the executive branch under President Trump to do some things that we would not otherwise have been able to do because we would never get Democrat votes for them. So now they get to do that. So here's what all of this means in very practical terms. Trump's OMB director, Russ Vought, now has unprecedented authority to reshape the federal government. Instead of temporary furloughs, which is the normal shutdown procedure, again, because they're both trying to vie to get what they want, now Vought can implement permanent reductions in force. Now Vought can do what they want, essentially firing federal employees forever and as many as he wants. And if the courts require him to reinstate those positions, there is no legal requirement to reinstate the actual employees that were let go. And according to the Project 2025 blueprint, they've already mapped out that they're going to fill those positions with tens of thousands of MAGA loyalists. There is no way the Democrats come out on top of this. Not when they are waiting to get what they want, while in that waiting, they have already given Trump what he wants. So why would he give it back? Why would he make them stop waiting? Democrats cannot possibly come out on top of this. The calculus is totally asymmetrical and disproportionate. This is why more and more legacy media outlets are coming openly questioning, what on earth are you Democrats doing? What is the rationale? What could it possibly be? And then more and more are saying, well, the rationale is Chuck Schumer wants to keep his job. He doesn't want to get primaried by AOC in 2028. Okay, AOC, what the hell are you doing? What the heck are you guys doing? So it looks increasingly likely that the shutdown will be remembered as the moment the Democrat Party's progressive wing finally and overtly overplayed their hand so badly that it cost them not just political power, but credibility with their own voters and even with the legacy media itself. Chuck Schumer's decision to empower AOC by hiding from public scrutiny has created a power vacuum that Trump is filling with unprecedented effectiveness. While Democrats fight among themselves about who's really in charge, Trump is systematically dismantling the administrative state they spent decades building. The data is clear, and the political realignment is accelerating. Democrats bet everything on the idea that Americans would blame Republicans for yet another shutdown. Instead, Americans are asking the simple question that's destroying Democratic credibility everywhere. Why are you always on the side of illegal migrants? We're done with you. Trump didn't just win the shutdown fight. Democrats handed him a weapon he'll use for years to come. And the most ironic part, most Democrats still don't realize what they've done. Over to you. I want to hear what you guys have to say as Micah assembles your questions. This is a good time to remind all of us that we have to take the steps necessary to protect ourselves and our loved ones online. And that actually begins with your home title. Now, if you're a homeowner like me, you need to ask yourself, when was the last time you checked on your home title? That's the legal proof you own your house. Well, if you're like me, the answer is never. Well, the problem is in today's AI and cyber world, scammers are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. So here's how it works. Criminals forge your signature on one document. Then they use a fake notary stamp. They pay a small fee with your county, and that's it. Boom. Your home title has been transferred out of your name. Then they take out all kinds of loans using your equity. Some even sell your property, and you won't even know it's happened until you get a collection notice or foreclosure notice. So that's why you need to stop what you're doing right now and find out today if you've already been a victim. So just use promo code TurleyTalks. It's all one word, TurleyTalks at HomeTitleLock.com to make sure your title is still in your name. You'll also get a free title history report plus a free 14-day trial of their amazing $1 million triple lock protection. So that's 24/7 monitoring of your title. That's urgent alerts to any changes. And if fraud should happen, they're going to spend up to $1 million to fix it. So go to HomeTitleLock.com right now. Use promo code TurleyTalks. It's HomeTitleLock.com. Promo code TurleyTalks. All right, what do we got here, Micah? What do we got? Rock Dog, the Barbarian, Dr. Steve, we're the Democrat plantation kidding, using 1998 playbook, accusing Republicans of taking away health care, children's breakfast, etc. with the shutdown. There's no way this ends in a good way for them. Is there? According to me, the best thing in life is to crush your enemies, and the lamentation of left Todd tears. This is the best. I couldn't agree with you more, Rock Dog. I think this is an absolute disaster in every way. They do seem, there is something about DC. We saw it during the whole Ukraine thing when it first broke out back in 22. There is a museum-like mentality. We had Colonel Doug McGregor say that, whenever he goes back to DC, feels like he goes back to 1991. People still live as if it's 1991. It's the same protocols, the same bureaucrats, literally the same bureaucrats who were there at the fall of the Soviet Union. They think the world is what it was 30 some odd years ago, and it's not anymore. So you're absolutely right. This isn't the Clinton era anymore. This isn't the Obama era anymore. At the very least, it's because the legacy media is laughed at by the vast majority of the country. RT Court, Dr. Turley, just for the shits and giggles, can we petition Trump to create a ministry of truth? Maybe offer the job to someone like Betty Johnson just to see the Democrats argue against it. I think it's brilliant. And Betty would be brilliant at it. No question. I love it. Yeah, again, it's just the moment we do it, they'll turn around and say, "Oh, no, but that's you're weaponizing the truth." Exactly. If never has there been a better example of projection. Mystic Tom, can Trump now appoint the remaining nominations that are still awaiting approval? Oh, that's a good question. That would as I understand it, that would technically be a recess appointment, because without a budget, without a CR, Congress basically isn't functioning right now. The only function they have is to pass the CR at this point. So it would be technically a recess appointment. So he could do pretty much whatever he wants at this point, because Mike Johnson was just talking about this last night on Fox. But basically the running of the government has been taken out of the hands of Congress right now, and it's now in the executive branch, with the OMB being the heart of that management. Rock Dog, Dr. Steve, the arrests have begun. Comey. So who's next? Do you think we will ever see the Hildebeest arrested for a crime? We'll have to see on that one. The Hildebeest. I would hope I would hope to. I mean, Trump certainly, I thought he won the 2016 election with that one line. She's like, I'm so glad we haven't given presidential power to Donald Trump. And he says, because you'd be in jail. I just thought that I think every person sitting on the fence went, that's my guy. So we'll see. But no, I think John Bolton definitely is going to get indicted very, very soon. Who else? McCabe, Comer. I mean, just everyone involved with the espionage and the spying and the surveillance with Trump, I think is in the front row seat right now. That's for sure. And that would mean Hillary as well. So I think, Pam Bondi. So you saw the True Social that Trump sent out a couple of weeks ago, basically saying, yo, Bondi, get on this. Because as I understand, the statutes of limitations were coming up for Comey within days. And so he's like, get on this. I don't know why this is taking so long here. And apparently she called him and said, Mr. President, we've got them all lined up. We're just doing the final checks to make sure we can get all these guys convicted. So there's going to be a whole litany here. And again, the media just has to eat crow at this point, because all they did for the last 2 years was carry the water for the Democrats in the 4 or 5 indictments that President Trump had to go through. And now they're like, oh, this is absolutely unprecedented. You mean a mugshot is not for a former president? And you take mugshots because of the flight risk issue of a person, so that you'll be able to identify them if they were to escape custody. There was only one reason and rationale for that mugshot in Fulton County, and that was to try to embarrass him. And the media played along with it. They did not come out and get on their high horse and try to create this virtue signaling rhetoric of how dare they do something so horrible to a former president. Not a single legacy media outlet even went there. Not a single one. And yet, of course, the irony is he turned it into probably the most iconic photo of the century, and it helped him win the election. And now it's even his 47th presidency portrait. Dr. Steve, do you think Chuckles Scumbag is gone in 26? It's 28. He'll be up again. He's better than AOC, Occasional Cortex, though at least his IQ is slightly higher than Amoeba, unlike hers. Yeah, I thought I think he was I think he's up for re-election 28. But yeah, I think he's gone. Yeah, he's very, very unpopular, and especially after this, the Democrats are going to come out so behind on this. I just don't. Again, I don't see how they possibly can even remotely win on this. When liberals ask ICE agents, why are you wearing masks? ICE agents just reply, we're trying to prevent the spread of COVID. COVID is a truly dangerous thing, right? Lead them to have it argue against their own beliefs. That's great. I think that would be great. That would be just, again, a brilliant troll. Why are you wearing masks? I don't want to spread COVID. We all have COVID. Troublemaker adjacent, Dr. Steve. I would try to ask some serious and probing questions this week, but I've been laid low by shingles. Oh, gosh, please pray for me as I'm in some agony today. Yeah, everybody, please pray for TA, Troublemaker adjacent, as he deals with his shingles. I will make a note to do that. Maggot 24. Remember, guys, our what are they called? Super chats are up. So come on in. Whoever wants me to answer a question, I'll be happy to do it. Dr. Stephen, Comey's smug and sanctimonious taped response to address the charges against him, he appeared supremely confident that he would prevail, even though the charges are in Virginia instead of D.C. Will there be a fair trial, or is the fix already into a? We'll have to see. So I think the one good thing is that getting indicted, having to hire the lawyers, having to go through all this, going through the trial and so forth is itself in many ways the punishment. And so the very fact that he's going to have to go through this is enough to cause others to question whether or not they want to do something like he did. But we'll have to see. Again, I still think it's still more or less caught up in the DC circuit, which is just the swamp of corruption, and we'll have to see what the Trump administration is going to do to try to overcome that. I would like to just see them disband the whole circuit entirely. Richard, thank you for that super chat. Can Trump consolidate the other 2/3 of the government after the firing, then sell all the properties to make it harder for them to bring back? Good question. They are certainly going to test the limits of the power that they have. As I understand it, what is the act? It's an act that gives particularly the OMB all this power. It's the D something act, and that's it just escapes me. I'm taking too many drugs, I think, from a cold. Oh, what is it? I forget. There's a particular act that basically says the OMB, all the authority to govern the day-to-day management of DC transfers from Congress over to the OMB in the case of a shutdown. So the OMB has tremendous power. Again, historically, they haven't used it the way the Trump administration's using it, because the shutdown was a tug of war between, two different wants. So the Democrats had whatever issues they wanted, and then the Republicans had whatever issues they wanted. They tried to battle it out through the political tug of war in the shutdown. What makes this one completely disproportionate is, for the first time now, we've got a presidency that was literally smacking their lips. Their mouths were watering over the prospect of a shutdown, because then all this power transfers to them, and then they get to implement the Project 2025 blueprint that the Democrats ran against for over a year. I mean, again, you can't make this stuff up. So with the Democrats basically holding out for what they want, in that process, they actually gave Trump what he wanted. And as long as you have that asymmetrical calculus there, sky's the limit of what Trump is going to do. But I love the way you're thinking about it. Consolidate 2/3 of the government, fire them, sell all the properties, and make it virtually impossible for them to recover. That is that is what they've been saying that they wanting to do. They want to make it so bad for them that when government does get back up and running again, and if Democrats ever were able to get executive power back again, it would be virtually impossible to reconstruct the government pre 2025 shutdown. Hoopy shoot! Good to hear from your friend. Is there anyone who makes Mexican MAGA? That's a great question. I don't know, but that's all right. Joaquin Jeffries. That's all right. Maximilian, what's the best way to study the Freedom Triangle? Information is difficult for me to find. Oh, okay. Look up Oz Guinness. Guinness, like the beer. I think he's actually related to the family. Oz has done, I think he's done some extensive research in that. So I would look up Oz Guinness. He's a sociologist and scholar. RoboGuy75, they say the tariffs are helping, but how would help people? I'm still seeing them have trouble trying to afford stuff. Companies jacking up prices and trying to use the tariffs as a shield, like scumbags, cause of greed, etc. Well, yeah, maybe, but inflation is down. It's prices are lower than they were this time last year. So already Trump is saying, it's interesting you say that, because what was it? I think I just read it today. I may have read it last night, but he's already thinking of giving $1,000 or $2,000 rebate to all American taxpayers by virtue of the tariffs, because of the savings that they're getting and the surplus that they're getting from tariffs. So that's what I would like to see. I would like to see significant tax relief. I would love to see the elimination of the income tax entirely. Things like that, and replaced by tariffs. I think that would be great. Internal revenue service replaced by an external revenue service. Those would be very tangible. Rock Dog, Dr. Steve is an American with Irish heritage. Dr. Jameson's medicinal compound. You and I, Rock Dog, have very similar tastes. Dr. Jameson's medicinal compound is good for what ails you, or a hotty toddy, right? Dr. Rock Dog recommends at least one shot, air dose, an hour. Your thoughts get well soon. I brought back lots of scotch with me from the Highlands. I love scotch, and so yes, I will take your prescription, and I think later on in the day, I can't stand drinking during the day, but this evening I will probably take your advice and do a little dram to help out with the cold. Yeah, I don't know if it was COVID, I don't know what it was, but some respiratory thing hit both my wife and I, and my it just knocked us out. The time difference too. It's 5. I'm on the East Coast, so 5 hours difference in the UK. But coming on back, man, we were just shot. I mean, whatever it was, really knocked us both out. Svengald, can we start a trend to stop calling them radical Dems? Radical root, radix, means rooted, yes. And they are not rooted in anything. Great point. The only true radical was Jesus. Let's call them the rebellious left. I love it. Yeah, no, I love it. I know what you mean. Words do change their meaning, unfortunately. You're absolutely right. Radix is a very, very good word. Meaning literally the root, the foundation of something, the core of something. Some might even call it the sacred of something. But words do change their meaning. They do. They pick up meanings over the years. Remember, cute used to mean bow-legged. So if I said, "Boy, that girl's cute," a couple of 100 years ago, they would have been like, "Really?" But regardless, so yes, but I like that. They are the rebellious left, and that's what leftism is. Leftism is inherently rebellious. The difference between conservatism and leftism, liberalism, is conservatives believe that there are beliefs and there are ideas and practices of the past that are necessary in the present in order to guarantee our human flourishing in the future. So conservatism blends together past, present, and future into one sort of, eternal vision of life. It's a very cosmic vision conception of life. Whereas liberalism sees everything in the past as inherently racist, bigoted, all kinds of phobic. So it rejects the past and sees the moral high ground given to those who demand emancipation from these oppressive practices of the past, so that we can have this, unbridled, progressive future, boldly going where no man has gone before. So liberalism sees a radical disruption in time. So I think you're absolutely right. There is a rebellion against the family. There's a rebellion against gender norms. There's a rebellion against culture and civilization. And so anything, basically the argument is anything that I do not autonomously choose in terms of my own moral loyalties, I have the right to reject. So I have the right to reject the family. I have the right to reject community. I have the right to reject religion. I have the right to reject civilization. And then when you when you recast all those things as bigoted and racist and phobic, that right turns into an obligation. And so the left is an inherently destructive ideology that I think came from the pit of hell and belongs in the pit of hell. Robo Guy, if New Jersey does go red and New York City goes with Mamdani, we need to keep out anyone who voted for him out of New Jersey. Make New Jersey red. Yeah, I think what you're going to have happen is you're going to have a mass exodus of New Yorkers going into Jersey, and it's going to do it. They're going to create a firewall. They're not going to bring their blue politics with them. They're going to create a firewall like we saw with during COVID with Florida and Texas and Tennessee, where all these refugees left California, particularly New York and Massachusetts, and they all came down to the red states, and they made the red states deep, deep red, even redder. So there's a risk of them bringing their politics. But again, that's several years back. We're in a different politics now. That's when you had the horizontal divide, left versus right. And so you had a bunch of leftists who just didn't like the high taxes and so forth that their politics eventually created. So they moved to a more red state, but then brought, their leftist sentiments with them. Those are over. We're now more in a vertical divide, the people versus the lunatic political class. And they just don't trust increasingly the Democratic Party because it's the party of the oligarchy. Rock Dog Dr. Steve is a 30-year-old veteran first responder. I can tell you no one is denied emergency care. They want reimbursement for non-emergency care. Aha. Am I missing anything? No, you're right. No, they want reimbursement to hospitals irrespective of your immigration status. Bottom line. That's what they want. That's why Republicans are absolutely right in saying they want to fund the healthcare of illegal migrants because they want to fund healthcare totally irrespective of migration status. That's exactly the Democrat dream. That's what they want. Johnny the Whiz Kid, I read a tweet Trump put out that international movies will cost double if they want it premiere in the United States. That includes anime movies. That's concerning for fans. Even figures from Japan will be delayed getting here, and I pre-ordered a couple of them months ago. What's your opinion on this? Will something change to make things better? Or what has Japan done to get tariffs brought on them? I don't think it's specific. Yeah, I hear you, Johnny. I don't think it's specific to Japan. I think Trump is just smacking Hollywood around because Hollywood, as I understand it, Hollywood does farm out a lot of what they do to cheaper places outside of the United States. Hollywood, their business model is still mired like in the 1980s, and they are having to pay. I mean, the reason why Netflix, who, by the way, you should cancel your subscription to Netflix because they're scum. But the reason why like Hulu or Amazon or these streaming services been able to put out much better movies or shows, or programs than Hollywood has is because they have a very different modern business model where they're very lean in terms of their overhead, whereas Hollywood is it's almost impossible to make money in Hollywood now because the overhead is so costly given the laws that still dictate how you can make movies through the major production companies. And so one of the ways around that is to outsource your production outside the United States. And so Trump is just hitting them. He's just hitting Hollywood in the wallet. It's not so much against anime or against other countries or Bollywood or anything. It's, as I understand it, it's an attempt to smack it to Hollywood because they all suck. They're all left-wing loons. ROT, now that Google and by extension YouTube have admitted to censoring conservative commentators, where Turley Talks demand compensation, maybe document the trail and the legal process of the destruction. How about making a full documentary and posting it to the channel, calling it Turley Talks Trial Tales? Might be a good way to get the communist Soviets to support the channel by defunding corporations and billionaires. I love it. Oh, no. Well, I mean, you all know, I mean, we did get demonetized. We got hit hard. This was the day after Thanksgiving of 2023. I forget when it was. It's been 2023. So they completely pulled the plug on our channel, completely demonetized us. No warning, nothing. And look, we got it restored. We're grateful. We're happy, and we're going to leave it at that. I ain't pushing my luck in no way, shape, or form. I do have to say, ever since November, YouTube has been a joy. They've been great. They used to harass us all the time. This is, going back 22, 23, and 24. They harassed us all the time. We couldn't put up anything without it seemed, at least, we couldn't put up anything without, well, this is a copyright problem, or no, this is inappropriate, or just like, leave us alone. What the hell is your problem here? Whoever those Karens were, they seem to be gone. They're not bothering us anymore. And we're very grateful and very happy. Let's see. ROT, I want to see Turley start another channel called Turley Travels, where Dr. Turley travels all over and hangs out with Turley talkers. Hunting in West Virginia, whitewater rafting in Colorado, surfing in California, playing the guitar in Nashville, maybe some hiking in southern Alberta, convincing Alberta to leave. I love it. Yeah. That'd be cool. Secession Now. Have you watched Nick Fuentes' Rumble podcast, Once Baby Boomers Passed Away? Whether United States turn a hard right, or is the white demographic collapse irreversible? Oh, okay. Let's see. I don't watch Nick Fuentes' Rumble podcast. Not for any reason. I just haven't availed myself of that. So demographics are a little complicated in the United States, but basically what's going on is the country is turning right. And it's turning right in every way possible. It's turning right among whites. It's turning right among Latinos. It's turning right among men. And what's happening is in terms of the immigration levels, obviously we're seeing this massive deportation effort going on. But even if that didn't happen, if you can believe it, even if that didn't happen, whites are still, a super majority part of the country. And Eric Kaufman of the University of London has done very extensive research on this. And what he found is that the single largest migration group into the country, Latinos, are also the most likely to intermarry with whites. And not necessarily only with whites, but just with that dominant group. And what we find is that when minority groups intermarry with the dominant ethnic group, 9 times out of 10, they tend to take on the political complexion, the political disposition of that majority ethnic group. We see this cross-culturally around the world. Whites are disproportionately Republican. Democrats have not won whites since 1964. So whites vote Republican around 60%. And so what we find is Latinos who tend to marry into white families, but it's across the board. It's Asians, like my wife is Asian. She is very conservative. However you break down the ethnicity, if the ethnicity marries into the dominant ethnicity, they tend to take on the politics of that dominant ethnicity. So even if there weren't, just this sort of kind of correction, however you want to call it, of the particularly the illegal migration that's been happening over the last several years, even if that weren't the case, you would still have, it seems to me, the dominant ethnic demographic, the politics of the dominant ethnic demographic dominating our politics for the foreseeable future. So there's just no way around that. So I think a lot of the concern about, and again, it is a concern because for me, from sociological studies, multicultural societies tend to be extremely unstable societies. Again, there's a very interesting study out of Sweden that found that social trust levels in Sweden plunged from before 2015, when they had the massive influx of migrants coming in, to after that period, a few years after. The social trust levels were very high before the massive influx of migrants. After that, social trust drops. I'm not saying that's right or wrong. I'm being purely descriptive, not prescriptive. All I'm saying is that it is, as I understand it, relatively par for the course among the literature that multicultural societies struggle with social trust. That is it's a hard thing when you're around such a heterogeneous society. And again, it could be something you have to learn just to overcome, and and maybe that's we ought to. I mean, to get into the prescriptive, values-based analysis is a whole different story. So what I would just simply point out is that even if the migration trends continued unabated of what we saw, it would not necessarily affect the politics long term. It will affect the politics short term in an interregnum period where sort of the cultural Marxists come in and say, hey, if you're non-white, you got to vote Democrat, right? Because we're all about destroying Western culture or whatever, because it's racist and bigoted, whatever. So yes, a number are going to fall victim to that. But then eventually the process of intermarriage comes in with the dominant ethnicity, and whatever the politics of the dominant ethnicity tends to be, that tends to be what the minority group that's intermarrying into the dominant ethnic group adopts. It's not the other way around. So no, I think white demographic collapse is not irreversible because, and that's the last part of it, because, and I know people who go, but our conception of whiteness begins to expand a bit. So back in the day, whiteness did not include Italians. Back in the day, whiteness did not include, Slavs. Okay. 1830s, 1840s, and so forth. But that obviously changed. So over time, now obviously Slavs are white and Italians are white, and so on and so forth, right? So our concept of whiteness does expand a bit. How so? Because the intermarriages end up adopting the cultural norms of the dominant ethnicity. So white demographic is not necessarily pigmentation. It is a culture. It's a way of being, as it were. And that culture and that way of being, as long as it remains strong and dominant, then it's going to be demographically dominant as well. So I hope I made some sense on that. But that, if you're interested, Eric Kaufman of the University of London has done some extensive study on that called White Shift. I see the book right back there. Big book, about 700-800 pages long, but very, very interesting study on that. Coin addiction. How much Senate control would we need to pass a line item veto? You never hear anyone mention that. I'm assuming it would have to be, well, unless you get Democrats on board, but it would have to overcome the Senate filibuster, so you'd need 60. But you're right. I don't know why we don't talk about that anymore. It's very interesting. Nikki Apollo, is it possible for the GOP to gain more than 60 seats during the midterms next year to abolish the filibuster? Will Fetterman switch parties? Okay, probably not the 60. They could get to like 55 or 56 if they win in Michigan. Where are some of the other ones that are up? There are a couple of others. Where am I forgetting? Oh, Georgia. We should pick up at least one in Georgia with Issoff being very, very weak. So we could hit up around 55, maybe 56. Yeah, Fetterman could switch. I think he's got now. I don't know if he'll become a Republican. He may end up becoming an independent. In politics, you tend to go. You try to go with the grain. So I'm in Delaware, right? There's no point in me running for office in Delaware because a Republican can't win in Delaware. Just the demographics aren't there. There would have to be a political realignment that took place. But the votes are literally not there for a Republican. And same way, you can't win as a Democrat in Idaho or Florida for that matter right now because the votes just aren't there. You're going to lose by 20 points. So what Fetterman is finding increasingly with these polls coming out is that he is very respected and very liked and revered among Republicans. So I think it was the latest Emerson that came out. Just double check on that. The latest Emerson found, I think he had a 63% approval rating among Republicans, but like a 33% approval rating among Democrats. So that's a disaster. He's not going to stay a Democrat. That's for sure. He'll get primaried. Oh, and if he doesn't get primaried, he'll lose. Because while Republicans respect him, if he's running again in 2028 as a Democrat, they're going to go with a Republican, a viable Republican that can beat him, especially with such lackluster support among Democrats. So if politics is always about going with the grain, then it really behooves him to become a Republican, not an independent. It's not going to get him anywhere. Just ask Kirsten Sinema on that one. It's not going to get him anywhere. So either I think he becomes a Republican or he retires for health reasons. It's going to be one or the other. Cody, do you see where SCOTUS allowed Lisa Cook to stay in office for now? I don't think we'll have an answer for this case until June. To me, it feels like it's 50-50 on how SCOTUS could rule. Yeah, no, I saw that with Lisa Cook. Again, to me, it wasn't a merits case. It's a procedure case or better decision, not a merits decision, procedure decision. I remember this Supreme Court is very, very, very procedural. And it's stupid because Lisa Cook, obviously she's being accused, if I recall, it was mortgage fraud, wasn't it? Well, now all the Justice Department has to do now is just open up a case against her, and boom, she's off. If anything, it would have been better for her just to take the firing. That's because now she's probably going to get charges filed against her. So it's one of these things. It's a lose-lose. These permanent bureaucrats are so used to being above the law that they're not used to being put in a position of a lose-lose. But she is. I mean, if she didn't take this, if she just quietly went away, I don't think the DOJ would have pressed charges against her. Now they'll probably end up pressing charges against her just to get rid of her. It's just ridiculous, dumb on her part. Richard, government workers fired can be retrained to code. Remember the pipe fitters in 2021. Amen. That's right. Yes. Karma is a bitch, as they say. Cody, as long as Schumer has been around, there's no telling how much dirt he's got on other Dems. Oh, that's true. If he goes down, it'll be Dance Moms or Jersey Shore level. Yes, I think he'll take others down with him for sure. Absolutely. As would Pelosi. And yeah, they've all got They've all got dirt on each other, no question. So that's how they stick together, bottom line. Our dog show, Dr. Steve, is J.D. Vance the favorite in New Jersey in 2028 if Jack Ciattarelli wins this November? Absolutely. I think he is. Our good friend, Barris, boy, I am really, the stuff I'm taking is really hitting me. Good old Rich Bear, our good friend, what the hell's his name? Oh my, Rich Ferris over at the People's Pundit. He thinks that if enough money, time, and attention was poured into Jersey in 2024, Trump could have pulled it off. Remember, he came within 6 points, just over 5 points of winning Jersey, which is extraordinary. Jersey went 10 points to the right, as did California, as did New York. And had they really put in the get out the vote efforts in Jersey to get those low propensity voters out, many of whom have given up on Jersey because they just see the Democrats as having such a historic lock on the state. Rich thinks it could have flipped because it has the white and non-white working class defections happening in mass, and the Gen Z and Latino defections happening in mass. So yes, the answer is definitely yes. And Jack looks poised to freaking crush this. He is doing a great job. Again, it's going to be hard. Keep in mind, this is hard. This is like, pulling the upset off in Alabama for a Democrat, right? This is hard, but the trajectory is moving towards the Republicans across the board in all 30 states, Jersey being one of them, that records voter registration by partisan breakdown, by party. In all 30 states, Republicans are crushing the Democrats. Every single, we've just never seen anything like this. Not even a reverse during the Obama era. We haven't seen Democrats dominate Republicans the way Republicans are dominating Democrats. And polls have yet to catch up to that voter registration advantage. That's why we love using the analysis of Seth Keshel and his work, Captain K. He has a great Substack you want to subscribe to, but his analysis is just spot on in terms of election predictions and election projections. And he uses voter registration numbers, hard voter registration numbers and voter registration patterns to determine election outcomes. And Jersey is crushing it right now. It's absolutely crushing it in terms of the amount of Republicans that are there are what now 220,000 more Republicans in Jersey than there were in 2021 when Ciattarelli lost by 80,000. So there's 3 times the number he needs to overcome that 80,000 deficit. So it's really exciting to see. Turlinator Prime, Dr. Steve, yesterday was Yom Kippur, the Jewish Day of Atonement for Sins. The Gateway ex-minister Robert Morris pled guilty for crimes he committed against a 12-year-old girl and is now in prison. What say you, Dr. Turley? The Gateway ex-minister Robert Morris. I don't know anything. Yeah, I'm sorry. I don't even know what the connection is between what's the connection between Yom Kippur and the ex-minister pled guilty against a crime of 12-year-old. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, you can forgive and hold accountable at the same time. Those are obviously not. Those are not mutually exclusive. We've been doing that for 2,000 years in the Christian tradition, rooted, of course, in the Day of Atonement, with Christ on the cross as being, we would argue, the ultimate cosmic fulfillment of the Day of Atonement, as Christ is both both the sacrificial lamb and the scapegoat at the same time. So you can forgive, because forgiveness is for the forgiver, like Erica Kirk has done, and your public officials, in accordance with Romans 13, hold justice accountable by protecting the weak and those vulnerable from wolves. So it's really, you can forgive the wolf and hold the wolf accountable. Ventus Bruna. We shall meme them until they cry and then make memes of them crying. I love it. I love the Dilly meme team. Fear the Reaper. Did you see it? Video Trump posted today. Yeah. So I would love to post it. I think we'd get hit with a copyright, unfortunately. But that was great. I did. I posted it on my own X, my own Twitter. But if you guys haven't seen it, look up Fear the Reaper. And just put Trump or something like that. It's primarily Russell Vogt is the Reaper depicted on there, and it's just great. It's so awesome. Yeah, liberals can't meme because they have no sense of humor. As we're finding out with Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert, they have no sense of humor. They've become so morally degenerate in their virtue signaling that they've lost the capacity to be able to find. They've lost the redemptive vision of humor. That humor, the coolest thing about humor in many ways is, in the Christian tradition, we have something called the falling of the senses. It's not just our soul that's fallen. It's our senses have fallen as well. So there's the beautiful motif of Adam and Eve naked in the garden means that all five senses were enlivened and awakened by beauty, by paradise. But then when they're covered in the animal skins and sent out of the garden, in a sense, they were already exiled from the garden by those skins. So the skins covered their senses and deadened and numbed their senses to the beauty, the divine grace and presence all around them, one of which is humor. Life is very funny. And so as part of the Christian tradition of redeeming the senses, it actually has a Jewish counterpart as well. Susan Ashbrook Harvey has done a beautiful study on this called Scenting Salvation. If on this redeeming the senses, I actually did a work on my scholarship on truth, goodness, and beauty, and my book Echoes of Eternity, with the sonic dimension of reawakening our senses through music, through beauty, our audio senses. As part of sort of the reawakening of our senses, comedians remind us how funny daily life actually is, but we miss it because of the fallenness of our senses. And so comedy is actually extremely conservative. It's wonderfully conservative because it's all part of this redemptive vision of life. And memes, I think they're part of just that amazing redemptive sense of comedy. And the woke have lost it because the woke have shriveled up into the fall. And so they've completely lost any sense of ability to experience joy. And so I'm with you. I love how you put it. We meme until they cry, and then we make the memes of them crying. It's just absolutely. Upi shoot, like RBG, holding out to the end, Democrats will themselves help to undo all that destroyed the lives of not only Americans. God bless President Trump. Absolutely. Amen. Yeah, Ruth Bader Ginsburg holding on, not getting rid of her seat. Yeah, they're clingers, they're clutchers like Gollum. Franz Paul, Dr. Steve, during the shutdown, what role does the judiciary play? So as I understand, the judiciary will continue to play the role of adjudicating the measures that the executive branch takes, particularly through the OMB, in managing and running the government, but must be in accordance with constitutional norms. So if there are going to be lots and lots of lawsuits against all the positions that are eliminated, the tens of thousands that they've already been warning are about to be limited. Again, they're using that a little bit. They're waiting, using it as a little bit as a negotiating tool, I think, a bargaining tool. But those will all be litigated as to whether or not there already are. I mean, there are plenty of public unions, and that, to me, that's a contradiction in terms. I don't understand how you can possibly have a union if you're being paid by tax dollars. But regardless, I mean, unions were created to fight against, robber barons. So already, as I understand it, unions are prepared to file lawsuits against the very threats of layoffs and firings, mass firings, and dismantling and elimination of programs and so forth that they're saying is inherently illegal. I don't think they're going to be successful, though, because this Supreme Court has been very, very generous to Article 2. And they clearly saw Article 2 superseded by Article 1 and, to a certain extent, Article 3 by pushing back against all those federal judges and their nationwide injunctions. So they clearly saw Article 1 trying to rein in the FDR executive branch, and Trump and the Supreme Court said, no, that's actually the executive branch has tremendous power, extraordinary power, as does, by the way, Article 1, as does legislative, but it works slower. It's more cumbersome. It involves much more much more, the legislative process has to go through just this very long, arduous negotiating procedures that the executive branch doesn't have to do. The president is the one public figure on the planet that is voted on by every single member, every single citizen of the country. And so he operates with that kind of authority and that kind of power. But it's limited to his term. That's it. The next president could come in and with the stroke of a pen, undo everything that previous president did. The presidency has enormous power, but it's limited to tenure. And the only way it ends up becoming permanent is if it gets enshrined in Article 1 through the legislative process, which is long and arduous. So there you go. So they'll continue to adjudicate, and but I think they're going to give pretty much Trump everything he wants. Mazzamonti, can they make Charlie a saint? Oh, God. And God, thank you for the pound sterling. I was just, of course, I was using Scottish pounds. I didn't realize Scottish pounds were slightly different. They don't transfer, apparently. You have to get rid of all your Scottish pounds before you come back to wherever your roots are. So, home bases. It's a good question. Do you have to be Catholic or Orthodox to be a saint? And I don't know if Anglicans are still in the making of saints business. I think you do have to be Catholic to be considered a saint in the Catholic Church. I don't know. I can't. I should not. If I don't know, I shouldn't comment. But generally, sainthood is going to be connected to some kind of miracle. So bottom line, sainthood involves glorification before you die. So in the Christian tradition, what in the West we call glorification, in the East they call it theosis, or divination or divinization. I forget. Yeah, I think it's divinization. I always get those two confused. It's becoming basically one with God. It's being united with God, and in Christ, in his transfiguration, where he shined forth the uncreated glory of God, light of God in his being, a divinized person, a glorified person, ends up in our both our souls when we go to heaven and in our resurrected bodies. We are animated. Every square inch of our bodies are animated by that light, by that uncreated divine light. And one of the signs that has already happened to you even before you die is the ability to overcome the curse in bringing about Edenic-like, paradise-like miracles. So Jesus' miracles are the restoration of the original ministry of Adam, as it were, to extend the garden all throughout space and time, throughout the cosmos. And so the key sign of a saint generally is one who brings about bona fide, verified healings and miracles in people's lives. So Charlie would have to be a saint technically in that sense. There would have to be signs of miracles that he was privy to at his own hands, as it were. So that to me is, as I understand it, that's what a saint is. A saint is somebody who already experienced divinized life, glorified theosis life, and therefore then you have what are called the prayers of the saints, the intercession of the saints, and therefore they are in a privileged position, as it were, before the throne of God to be able to pray for us. And that's what they do. That's what a saint does. A saint is so filled with the love of God that they are always lifting up the welfare of others before the throne of God, with Mary, of course, being the highest saint in that sense, the Theotokos, as she's called. And then you have the whole college of saints that are always there to pray for and to participate in the redemption of the totality of the cosmos. So that's a theology of sainthood. Brian, my good friend, welcome back. Steve, Brian here, still living my best life in the free state of Florida, land of honoring veterans and no income tax. Show off. In the final analysis, how many federal workers do you think Trump will let go permanently? And do you expect the layoffs to survive the courts? Yeah. Again, so far, apparently he's already hit 300,000. So that's coming from the officer of the manager of the Office of Personnel Management, the OPM. So he says the number's already hit 300,000, which is like Clinton levels, right? Remember during the Gingrich revolution, Clinton was forced to more or less shave down government. I would have to say it's got to be another couple 100,000 at least. I think, as I understand it, they wanted to cut the federal workforce by half, right? So that's about 3 mil or 2.4 mil right now of the citizen federal workforce. So not counting obviously military and the like. So I could see him bringing it down to 1.2. So maybe that'd literally be a 1.2 million at the end. I wouldn't doubt it. When all is said and done, I could see him over 1 mil. How many will survive? We'll have to see. I mean, so far, with the exception of Lisa Cook, and that was more procedural, it seems. So far, the Supreme Court has pretty much said president can fire whoever he wants under, the deep state is an executive branch entity by and large. And so it derives its power from the executive. I could see, again, procedurally and all that sort of stuff, I could see maybe 10, 20% having to be rehired. But again, the key there, and Russell Vought's already talked about it, and the Project 2025's already made it very explicit. The key there is anybody they need to rehire, it's going to be a MAGA loyalist. It's going to be America First people. And I forget, there was a group that they were consulting, or a couple of groups actually they were consulting, 501c4 groups that were already in the process of vetting future federal workers who were patriots. and are going to make sure that DC ends up becoming full America first. But I mean, if we're already at 300,000 and we're seeing this level of stuff, I would say a minimum total 500,000 and probably getting maxed out about 1 million, which will be the single largest reduction of the federal workforce ever, as I understand it, in terms of just even raw numbers as well as percentage, per capita, as it were. So, Herculing, Dr. Steve, what are your thoughts on Palantir and the potential for digital IDs? Would Republicans ever push this? No, I don't think. I don't see it. Even Palantir with JD being part of Palantir. I mean, I like Palantir. I like Palantir, and I like Peter Thiel generally speaking. Again, I see that as part of the Tech Trad Alliance. It's still young. It's still working itself out, so it's got a lot of warts and stuff. But AI is the future. There's no way around it. The genie's out of the bottle. But I do think having a Tech Trad Alliance governing AI, this sort of archaeo-future paradigm governing AI, that's the way to go. And it's going to be very good. It's going to be very successful. But everyone's got to work it out. There's a Confucian model. It's being worked out in China right now, an Orthodox model, and Russia, Hindu model, traditional Hindu model, in India, Buddhist model, in Sri Lanka, and so on. So Islamic model, of course, in the Middle East, Turkey, and so on. So everyone's got to work it out. But fortunately, I think you're seeing lots and lots of traditionalism sort of guiding where it goes in terms of the moral parameters. Digital IDs, look at what's happening with Keir Starmer. I mean, the backlash right now in the UK is massive. And that's a good indicator that people don't want it. They don't trust the government, especially after COVID, to handle digital IDs. So I don't see much coming out of it. Certainly not in the near future. Raven running desk. I love that tagline there. Honest question. With this shutdown going on, what creates a shutdown to end? What could be the end result of this? In the end, to me, the only possible result is the Democrats just their no mas mea culpa. I don't see how Schumer can save face voting for the CR. They already have 3 Democrats voting for the CR. They need 5 more, if I recall. 4 or 5 more. So they'll just find 4 or 5 very, very safe seats to vote for it. But that's the only thing that, again, when your calculus is that you are holding out to get what you want when the other side gets what it wants and you're holding out, you've lost. There's no way around this. You've lost. Republicans are going to hold firm, Republican voters are going to hold firm, standing behind their party. Democrats are going to hold firm, standing behind theirs. And, independents are going to break more or less evenly for either side. So no side is going to inordinately suffer from this. That said, the side that's making the demands, that's screeching and yelling, you got to do this, that's the side that generally loses. It's the side that loses the 3, 5, 7% you need to be in the majority. So they're going to lose it politically, and then they've already lost it in terms of, again, the issues. The side that's holding out for what it wants will always lose when that holding out gives the other side what they want. It's just insane. It's just, again, they can't win because they've already, by definition, lost in terms of the asymmetrical dynamics going on here. So I think they'll just find 4 or so, 5 safe seats that'll vote for the CR, and we'll move on. And it comes down to when they start listening to the Washington Post editorial board and CNN and others saying, "Hey guys, you gotta cut bait and Take your losses. Don Frank, thank you for the super sticker. Very kind of you. Mitch Orion, I just thought I would. Thank you for developing such a positive community for me during this difficult time. Please keep me in your prayers. I'm not working due to the shutdown. All right, absolutely, Mitchell. Yeah, everyone keep Mitchell in their prayers as well. Yeah, we do have to remember, we do have a lot of MAGA faithful who are being affected by this shutdown as well. USA 2022, Dr. Steve, I'm concerned that Democrats are not concerned about being perceived as out of touch because they plan on winning elections through intimidation and violence. So it's yes, no question about it. There's a historian, I'm forgetting his name, who talked about this, again, after the Charlie Kirk assassination, said that, there was a pattern like this in the 1960s. And the pattern was when the hippie idealism didn't translate into the political victories like they were hoping for, that they wanted, the left turned to violent radicalism like the Weather Underground, right? But what you have to understand is what that then helped usher in was literally 20 years of Republican rule from the White House. More than that. Well, no, I think exactly that. So 2 years of Nixon and law and order. Then you had an interim period with Carter because of the deep state instigated Watergate. And then you had 12 years of Reagan Bush. And then even they were the left was only able to break that up by running a Southern conservative Democrat, two Southern so-called conservative Democrats, Bill Clinton and Al Gore. Now they couldn't do that anymore because, as far as this radical left Democrat Party is concerned, Southern Democrats are by definition racist. So they can't do that anymore. Beto O'Rourke is the best they got, and he's about as basically as clownish as you can get. So Obama was supposed to be their knight in shining armor. He was supposed to be the one who would create a new Democrat coalition, because they used to try to get the northern or coastal liberal, the California liberal or the northeastern liberal, but they were electoral disasters, the John Kerrys, and then of course Kamala and Gavin Newsom will be just as disastrous as a coastal liberal. And then they couldn't get the Southern Democrat because they were all racist as far as Democrats are concerned. So Obama seemed to be the identity politics knight, in shining armor. Oh, okay, he'll do it, because a whole new coalition of working class, progressives, and minorities, they found, created a massive electoral, win. But to their shock and to their horror, in 2016, Trump started stealing the Obama coalition. So Trump stole, first and foremost, the white working class in 2016. So they defected en masse over to him, even though they had voted for Obama twice. There were a number of counties in Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, Ohio that had voted for Obama twice that suddenly shifted and voted for Trump by 20 points. And that's because of the white working class. And then they stayed with Trump in 2020 and then increased even more in 2024. But then something else happened. Non-white working class started coming on over. So that started shaving off some of the urban vote margins that the Democrats were getting with Obama. I forget, what was it now? Obama won Philly, by with like 90% of the vote. But then by 2020, Biden won Philly by only barely like 68% of the vote, something like that. Don't remember the exact numbers, so you want to just check that out. But that was the pattern. We started to see the non-white working class, and we saw it got even lower for Kamala. I think she won with 60% of the vote. So there was this dramatic leaking, this hemorrhaging of the vote among the non-white working class, and chief among which is Latino voters. So that's where you're seeing now, if the Obama coalition was working class, it was minorities and progressives, 2 out of that 3 ended up beginning to shift over to Trump. And so what's happened now is that the Democrats do not have a coalition anymore. The Democrats don't have a coalition. And so just like the ideological, utopia, optimism of the hippie movement, just as that collapsed into the violence of the Weather Underground, so now we're seeing the ideological utopia of the progressives collapsing in Antifa and into what's called assassination culture. That's from the Rutgers study that found 55% of self-identified leftists believed it was at least somewhat justifiable to assassinate President Trump. So the Obama coalition has now become the Trump coalition. They have no coalitions. It's going to hurt them dramatically in 2026 across the country. And they don't know what else to do but to descend into violence. If you've lost the power to persuade, then you basically have to terrorize people into compliance. And that doesn't work. And it's going to, I think, just like we saw in 68, it's going to usher in a multi-generational rule of the right, a new right, a Trumpian right, particularly in the executive branch, but also wider now, because again, Democrats still control things at the congressional level back in the late 60s. It's going to transfer into the congressional level, and it's also going to flip a number of blue states, as it already has. Iowa was thoroughly blue for a number of years. Florida was purple. Nevada was relatively blue. That's just flipped. Ohio was purple. That's now solid red. Pennsylvania is flipping red, and it looks like Jersey is flipping red. So it's amazing what's happening in terms of how history is repeating itself. Tucson Bubba for your snack fund. Thank you, Tucson Bubba. Thank you. Art Pollard, Fed unions by their existence prove government is bad. Yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm with you 1,000%. I think it's all to fleece more money from the taxpayer. Robo Guy found a massive problem. California is going to pass a law that will cripple internet free speech called SB 771. Considering most tech is California, this may screw over the rest of the country. We'll see, Robo Guy. We'll see. I think a lot of that's very, very hard to pass muster today, especially with Elon Musk calling so much of the shots now with tech. William O'Toole, when does Trump clean out including Bondi at DOJ? Well, again, it's she did press charges. She did indict Comey, and we'll see over the next few months. Apparently, she seemed to assuage Trump that the DOJ was on top of a number of indictments coming out. We'll see, though. Alina Habas is being stopped by GOP rhinos. Why? I don't know. I haven't caught up with that. I'd have to see. But I mean, you know why. It's because their donors don't like her. She's upsetting the apple cart. Yes, the TYVM, Steve. Thank you. I think, what's the VM? I don't know. But thank you, Yessie. Very appreciated. Very, very appreciated. Are we stuck? And that's it. All right. Thank you, guys. What a great to thank you, and appreciate your enthusiasm kept me going here. I am going to take a little nappy poo after this. I will be back all throughout the weekend, though, with updates as your back porch professor, and we'll be keeping a very, very close tab on how things develop, especially with the dismantling of the administrative state by a newly unleashed Trump administration. Amazing, amazing stuff. Thank you, guys. Oh, TUVM, thank you very much. All right. Stupid me. I'm the worst with abbreviations. I'm terrible. I see my own SRT. I'm like, what does that stand for? Oh, Stephen Richard Troll. There you go. All right, guys. Love you so much. We'll see you on my back porch all throughout the weekend.